The rain poured relentlessly that morning as Hana, a young and impoverished woman, struggled through the muddy streets on her way to the prestigious company where she had scored a rare job interview. Every step was a battle against the thick, sticky mud that threatened to ruin her already tattered shoes. Her clothes, once neat and hopeful for this big day, were now soaked, smudged, and clinging to her body in uneven patches of brown and gray. Yet, despite her appearance, Hana carried herself with quiet determination and unwavering resolve. She had grown up in a world where opportunities were scarce and kindness even scarcer. From a young age, she learned that resilience, courage, and a strong spirit mattered far more than appearances or privileges. Today, she was armed not with designer attire or fancy credentials, but with the lessons life had harshly taught her: perseverance, resourcefulness, and an indomitable will to succeed against all odds. As she approached the grand glass doors of the corporate building, Hana paused for a moment, brushing off the mud clinging to her sleeves and gathering her courage. The world she was about to enter was foreign, filled with polished floors, sharply dressed professionals, and the air of wealth and authority she had never known. She knew she might be judged the moment she stepped inside, but she refused to let fear or embarrassment control her. To Hana, this interview was not just about a job, it was a chance to prove that talent, intelligence, and integrity mattered more than appearances. When she entered the lobby, heads subtly turned, and whispers rustled among the employees. The Millionaire CEO, Mr. Kong, was known for his keen eye for perfection and precision. For a brief moment, he paused, taking in the sight of this young woman covered in mud, her hair damp and clothes disheveled. Many would have dismissed her immediately, but there was something in her posture, upright yet humble, nervous yet resolute, that caught his attention. Hana walked toward the reception with her head held high, offering a polite smile despite the embarrassment she felt. Every step reflected courage, the courage of someone who had faced countless obstacles in life and refused to give up. She exuded a quiet confidence, a sincerity that shone brighter than any designer suit or polished shoe could. In that instant, it became clear that Hana was no ordinary candidate. Beneath the mud and rain-soaked clothes lay a young woman of extraordinary character, ready to face challenges head-on. Her determination, honesty, and resilience set her apart, qualities far more valuable than appearances. Little did she know, her courage and authenticity that day would leave a lasting impression on the CEO and change the course of her life forever. As Hana walked into the sleek, polished lobby of the company, her shoes still caked with mud and her clothes damp and soiled, she immediately felt the weight of judgmental eyes. The employees, used to elegance and order, whispered among themselves, their gazes flicking toward her with curiosity, skepticism, and some barely concealed amusement. Hana took a deep breath, steadying her nerves, and reminded herself why she was here, not for approval, but to prove her worth. The CEO, Mr. Kong, a man known for his sharp intellect, ruthless efficiency, and impeccable taste, was in his office that morning when the receptionist mentioned that a candidate had arrived. As he glanced down, he immediately noticed the young woman approaching, mud-streaked, soaked from the rain, and visibly exhausted. At first, he hesitated. His instincts told him to dismiss her outright. She looked entirely unprepared, her appearance in stark contrast to the polished, high-achieving candidates he usually interviewed. Many would have seen only the mud, the torn shoes, and the rain-soaked hair, the obvious signs of poverty and misfortune. But something about Hana made him pause. Beyond the disheveled exterior, he noticed her composure. Her back was straight, her head held high, and her eyes, though a little weary from the journey, were bright with determination. She wasn't shrinking away or begging for sympathy, she was stepping forward with quiet confidence, meeting the gaze of those around her with dignity. There was an authenticity to her presence, a sense of purpose that no polished resume or tailored suit could convey. Mr. Kong had seen countless candidates over the years, many talented, many qualified, but few who carried themselves with this combination of humility, resilience, and courage. He felt a flicker of curiosity. Who was this girl, and how had she braved the storm, literally and figuratively, to get here? There was a rawness about her, a truthfulness, that could not be faked. As Hana reached the reception desk, Mr. Kong leaned back in his chair, intrigued. He realized that appearances could be deceiving, and perhaps the most extraordinary candidates were not always the ones dressed in perfection but the ones who showed strength in adversity. The mud, the soaked clothes, the fatigue, they were not liabilities, they were evidence of her determination and perseverance. That first impression, fleeting yet profound, planted a seed in his mind. Hana was not just another applicant, she was someone remarkable. And though he had not yet heard a word she spoke, Mr. Kong sensed that this interview might challenge his assumptions and reveal a talent unlike any he had encountered before. Once Hana was seated in the sleek, glass-walled interview room, the atmosphere was tense. The CEO, Mr. Kong, regarded her with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Many would have focused solely on her appearance, the mud-streaked clothes, the damp hair, the worn shoes, and dismissed her outright. But Kong, intrigued by the courage and dignity she had displayed just by showing up, decided to approach this interview differently. He wanted to see beyond the exterior, to discover the substance of the person sitting before him. Rather than beginning with the standard corporate questions about experience or technical skills, Kong asked questions that tested Hana's values and resilience. He asked her about the challenges she had faced, how she had overcome hardship, and what drove her to pursue opportunities despite her circumstances. Hana answered honestly, without exaggeration or pretense. She spoke of nights spent walking miles in the rain, working odd jobs to survive, and the lessons she had learned about patience, determination, and integrity. Her answers revealed a rare combination of intelligence and humility. She admitted when she didn't know something, yet she demonstrated a willingness to learn and adapt. Kong noticed that she had a problem-solving mindset. She shared specific examples of how she had creatively tackled obstacles, showing initiative and resourcefulness that many privileged candidates often lacked. Every word she spoke painted a picture of someone resilient, self-aware, and unafraid to face life head-on. Throughout the interview, Kong also observed her demeanor. She maintained eye contact, listened carefully, and responded with thoughtfulness. There was no attempt to impress him with jargon or lofty claims. Instead, she impressed him with sincerity and authenticity, qualities that are rare in any high-pressure corporate environment. At one point, Kong presented a hypothetical scenario involving ethical dilemmas and challenging decisions, wanting to see how Hana would respond. She analyzed the situation calmly, weighing consequences not just for herself, but for the greater good, showing empathy and moral integrity. Her answers reflected not only intelligence but character, the kind of person who could grow within the company and handle responsibilities beyond technical skill. By the end of the interview, Kong realized that Hana's value could not be measured by appearances or credentials alone. Her determination, honesty, and problem-solving ability had passed the ultimate test. She had proven that true talent often resides in unexpected places and that resilience and character can outweigh privilege and polish. It was clear that Hana was exceptional, someone who could not only survive challenges but thrive despite them. After the interview concluded, the tension in the room was palpable. Hana, exhausted from her arduous journey and the emotional strain of proving herself, sat quietly, unsure of what to expect. She knew her appearance had likely caused skepticism, but she also knew she had done everything she could to convey her determination, intelligence, and sincerity. Every fiber of her being had fought to overcome the stigma of her clothes, her background, and the mud that clung to her from head to toe. Mr. Kong, the Millionaire CEO, leaned back in his chair, staring at her intently. His mind replayed every answer, every detail of her demeanor, every small gesture of courage she had shown. Many candidates, dressed immaculately and polished in speech, could have easily dazzled him with credentials alone. But Hana had something no resume could capture: raw authenticity, resilience forged in hardship, and a mindset that refused to be broken by circumstances. It was then that Kong made a decision that would shock everyone involved. He chose Hana, the poor, mud-covered girl, over countless other polished, highly qualified applicants. The choice was unconventional, even controversial by corporate standards, but Kang recognized that true potential could not be measured by appearances or societal expectations. He saw in Hana not just an employee, but a person whose courage, honesty, and determination would enrich the company and inspire everyone around her. When Hana was informed of the decision, she could hardly believe it. Tears welled in her eyes as she struggled to process the moment. What had seemed impossible, being chosen despite her humble appearance and challenging circumstances, had become reality. The CEO's decision was not only a professional opportunity but a profound acknowledgement of her worth as a person. It validated the struggles she had endured and the perseverance she had cultivated over the years. Mr. Kang explained to her that his choice was based on character and potential, not merely credentials. He emphasized that in his company, he valued integrity, resilience, and the ability to rise above challenges more than polished appearances or traditional measures of success. Hana's story, her courage, and her authenticity had demonstrated precisely those qualities. This shocking decision marked the beginning of a transformative journey for Hana. It sent a powerful message that determination and character can triumph over adversity, that societal judgments based on appearance can be misleading, and that true talent and potential often lie hidden in the most unexpected places. Hana's life, once constrained by poverty and struggle, was about to change forever, a testament to the power of resilience, authenticity, and the courage to show up, no matter the circumstances. After the shocking decision to hire Hana, her life began to change in ways she had never imagined. The humble, mud-streaked girl who had once walked through the storm to reach the office now found herself stepping into a world of opportunity, mentorship, and growth. The CEO, Mr. Kang, recognized that while she had passed the interview with intelligence and resilience, true success would require guidance, support, and the chance to develop her skills in a professional environment. From her very first day, Hana was given responsibilities that challenged her intellect and creativity. She was paired with experienced colleagues who could mentor her, but more importantly, she observed how Mr. Kang himself led with sharp insight and high expectations. Every task, every meeting, and every problem she faced became a lesson in professionalism, strategy, and leadership. She approached each challenge with the same courage and determination that had carried her through the muddy streets to this moment. The CEO did not treat her differently because of her background. He held her to the same high standards as the other employees, but he also acknowledged her potential, encouraging her to think critically, ask questions, and take initiative. Hana quickly learned to balance humility with confidence, understanding that her voice and ideas had value in a corporate setting. The skills she gained were not just technical, she developed resilience, emotional intelligence, and the ability to inspire and lead others. Over time, Hana's growth became visible to everyone in the company. Her colleagues admired her for her work ethic, creativity, and unwavering integrity. She proved that determination and authenticity could open doors that wealth, privilege, or polish alone could not. Mr. Kang, meanwhile, took pride in witnessing her transformation. He often reflected on the day she had walked in covered in mud, realizing that hiring her had been one of the most important and rewarding decisions of his career. Hana's story became an inspiration not just within the company but beyond it. She showed that circumstances do not define one's potential and that resilience, courage, and honesty are qualities that can propel anyone toward success. The opportunity she received was more than just a job, it was a turning point, a chance to build a future based on merit, character, and perseverance. By embracing the opportunity and giving her all, Hana demonstrated that true success is forged through hard work, integrity, and the courage to seize a chance, no matter how unlikely it seems. Her journey from the muddy streets to the executive office became a living testament to the idea that sometimes, the most extraordinary talent comes from the most unexpected places.